And good evening. Welcome into Timeout here on TVNB. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, we'll be discussing the St. John Flames, one game away from a date on the golf course. The Acadie Bathurst Titans are off to the Memorial Cup, and the Blue Jays continue to struggle as the season gets underway in Major League Baseball. All that and a whole lot more coming up, so don't go far. And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Timeout here on TVNB. Jim Hennessy flying solo for the time being. We hope to have Barry Johnson join us in the studio in the second half of the program tonight. But of course, right off the top, we got to talk about the St. John Flames, one game away from being swept by the Fredericton Canadians in the Atlantic Division Final. Now, when this series got underway, a lot of people said goaltending was going to be the key, and so far, it definitely has been that. Jose Theodore has been simply outstanding between the pipes for the Fredericton Canadians. Fredericton as a whole has been simply outstanding. Defense playing extremely well. The offense, the power play, 9 for 15, clicking on all cylinders at this point. So Michel Terrien and Jerry Fleming extremely happy behind the Canadians bench. On the other side of the coin, Rick Vive and Jeff Berry not too pleased with their team's outing so far. After 3 games of this Atlantic Division Final, the Flames were whomped Sunday night at home 7-3. The Flames did score a couple of late goals in the third period. Didn't really make any difference at that point. A little bit of a kook show breaks out in the final couple of minutes of that game 3. So a little bit of dirty tactics going on as the two teams were trying to settle that game up and get off the ice. But they got to get ready for Game 4 on Wednesday night. And like we said, St. John Flames are now one game away from being swept in this Atlantic Division Final. We have the highlights from Game 3 on Sunday night as the Flames and Canadians faced off at Harbor Station. Here's how it broke down.
Salloway, Eglin, Scoville, and Sharon are the penalty killers. Eglin gets the puck to the line, not out. Asham in front, Scott King all along, drops it for Manatee. Scores! And it's 1-0 Fredericton. The 5th power play goal in 2 games for the Baby Habs. Here's Petrovicki racing into the Fredericton zone, gets it to the right corner for Clark in front. Backhand, they score! If you're Eglin, Salloway, and Royer, those guys, you got to start thinking to yourselves, maybe we should start to contribute offensively because it's the plumbers here, the foot soldiers, and how about Bejan, the feed from Clark switched to his backhand, and I think that's because he didn't actually accept the pass.
Right on the money.
Crisply. Continue that David Cooper thought. We'll do that in a moment as he's the lone man back on a 2-on-1. Jean across for Blouin, they score! I think it's Jean who actually got the goal, and I think it might have been deflected in off of David Cooper. Landry, Eglin, Belak, and Scoville, the penalty-killing quartet. Robida knocked down Landry with a bit of a cross-check. Chouinard has the puck. He takes a whack from Landry as things are getting a little more chippy out there. Kenyon behind the St. John net. Scott King, a flame killer, tried to center it. It skipped off of Scoville, kept in by Gurin. Now for Asham, down low for King. King in front, pinching in. Robida shot, save Jigger. Rebound, they score. Aaron Asham, power play goal. It's 3-1. Sorokin can't keep it in at the line. Sorokin is roughed up by Hood. Here's Drolet coming in 2-on-1 with Morissette. Drolet, the shot, scores! And it's 4-1, and things are slipping away from the St. John Flames now. Another weak goal on Jean-Sébastien Giguère, and it's Jimmy Drolet, of all people, with a 3.5 shooting percentage in the regular season. 3 goals on 85 shots, and he gets the goal here that makes it 4-1.
Drolet just working down the right wing, and once again, that's a shot that Giguère has to stop.
Cool. Rubbed out by Scoville, and then Salloway got flattened by Gendron. And then Sorokin took him out, and there's going to be a penalty. And then Sorokin got tripped by Houle. Scoville grabs him. And is that blood streaking from Gendron's face? It is indeed.
There is.
Whoa. Gendron's left eye, just above his left eye, he's bleeding profusely. Here's a loose puck picked up by Jean. Jean moving in for Hood. 5-1 Fredericton. Eric Hood buries it. And this one is turning into a laugher if you're wearing red.
Well, a big miscue by Wade Belak basically fell on the play, and John Van Hood, you can't give these guys any time at all.
As now Rick Vive is flipping out. Something happened on the bench. And I wonder what that might have been.
I don't think it's Terry. I'm not sure.
I think it's probably Morissette. No. Yes, it is. No. Sharon's barking with Terrian.
Now, these teams do not like each other. Make no mistake about that. These coaches do not like each other. Make no mistake about that. But, it's 5-1, 5:35 left here in the second period. Certainly hope that things do not get out of hand. Teams, of course, have to play again Wednesday evening.
A no-brainer that Karpenko has to play Game 4. Giguère doesn't deserve the chance to play. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Here's Drolet for Robida. Robida with a shot. Scores! Tipped in front by Eric Hood. And that's another power play goal. That's 4 for 5 on the power play. Back-to-back games, the Canadians have scored 4 power play goals.
Francis Bouillon. He says something for the Habs. This guy has been dynamite for them all year. And as you mentioned, if he had a different address, very easily could have been on the AHL All-Star team.
Here's Jean moving in. Shot scores. Jean getting some retribution because he was just denied on a beautiful toe save by Karpenko on a feed from Eric Hood. And that's 5 power play goals for the Canadians. And I'm telling you, they don't keep that kind of statistic. But that has to be some kind of record. 9 power play goals in back-to-back playoff games. Will take an icing, but Landry tripped up Poole behind the play and then cross-checked him in the head. Not once, but twice. Now Belak and Hood are mixing it up. And Belak and Hood are going to fight. Belak grabbed Hood, and Terry Ryan and Sylvain Blouin nearly jumped the bench. And Jonathan DeLille is ready to swing his stick at the St. John bench. And Michel Terrien just put a headlock on Terry Ryan and grabbed Blouin by the back of the jersey. Charon took a whack at Morissette. Now Morissette takes a punch at Charon. Now another one. Petrovicki grabs Morissette. Charon does the same. This was after Morissette snapped his stick in half with a slash on Eric Charon. Now Blouin's going to jump Royer. Oh, and Blouin starts pounding Royer. And now we're going to have a fracas as Blouin decided he was going to start beating on Royer, who didn't want to fight. Pass went through everyone, and the Flames come the other way, 2-on-1. Saint Louis and Brigley. Saint Louis for Brigley. Back to Saint Louis. It bounces off of Robida and into the net, and it's 7-2. That might be an appropriate song for both sides come Wednesday night, when you factor in the Canadians' imminent departure. Varlamov flipping it in front. Brigley, shot, save, rebound for Clark, scores. Actually a power play goal.
So like we said, the St. John Flames are now 1 game away from elimination and being swept by their Highway 7 rivals, the Fredericton Canadians. Don't forget, Game 4 will be here on TVNB. Unfortunately, local blackout will be in effect, but for the rest of the folks around the province, they will be able to enjoy Game 4 live from Harbour Station. Face-off is at 7 o'clock from the comfort of their living rooms. And we had a chance to talk to Calgary Flames head coach Brian Sutter. He was in town for Game 3 of St. John's opening round series against the Lowell Lock Monsters. We talked to him in between the periods, and here's what Brian had to say about his future and the Calgary Flames over the next couple of years.
Hey, a pleasure to sit down next to Calgary Flames head coach Brian Sutter. Brian, thanks for taking the time out.
Good to be here.
I think you can start with just give us your overview of the first 40 minutes of this game.
Well, it's kind of 2 different type of hockey games, and obviously our guys got up, and there's a bunch of calls made after the whistle went, and I think they had 5 straight penalties, allowed them to get back in the game, And then he called a couple against them and allowed our guys to get back in the game. So there hasn't been very much 5-on-5 play, unfortunately.
Well, I'm sure it's always a pleasure to have you here in town, but I'm sure you'd rather be somewhere else right now.
Well, we would be. We had a heck of a run at it at the end of the year, and we were over 24 points back out of the playoff spot, and we fought our way back, and we ran into some injuries late in the year, and that hurt us, but it was good for our young guys. We're very similar to our team here, that we're young, and our guys got to experience the things they got to do, and we'd love to be playing right now, but we made a run for it, and they put themselves in a position to be able to do that.
Who was your biggest surprise in the lineup? I mean, Bury had a great second half. He came on strong. Freddie Brathwaite coming in between the pipes to help him when Kenny Reagan was ailing a little bit, really couldn't feel the pinch. Who was the one player that you'd say would be the whole total standout for this year?
I don't think there's anybody that really stands out. We're after we especially made the trade for Theo, we needed a group and a team. And our younger guys relied on Theo in a lot of situations, and there was a lot of people. Bury came forward and played really well. Jason Weimer, Jeff Shantz, Derek Morris, Dennis Gauthier, Eric Sharon came up and played very well for us. You got 3 or 4 guys playing here that are going to play in the National Hockey League, and those are important things. But there was a lot of people on our team. It had to be a team thing, and the marketplace we're in, we've got to come and play hard and be tough to play against every night. And we're a young team that are tough to play against every night.
Who do you like hitting into? I mean, when it was coming down to those final last 5-6 games, Edmonton and you still had 3 games head-to-head to play. The rivalry of Calgary, that's one of the things that you guys need to help rejuvenate, especially with the financial situation in Calgary and in Edmonton. That must have felt good for you guys from a financial standpoint.
Well, no question, and that's what it's all about. And unfortunately, every one of those games were tight games, and a referee's call or a non-call or it went one way or whatever determined the outcome of a hockey game, a penalty here and there. But it's important, there's no question about it. Everybody knows the marketplace in Canada, and everybody knows what's going on and how hard it is to compete against the big market cities. And Edmonton and us are both teams that play very hard, very, very similar type of teams. They talk about their team being young, but they've been able to keep some important guys in their team together for 4 or 5 years, and that's the difference between our team and theirs right now.
Who do you like out on the ice right here for St. John? If you could take a couple players back, you're still in the playoffs, who would you like to take back?
Well, there's quite a few young guys that are going to play in the National Hockey League if they want to push themselves and want to play hard in tough situations. But certainly a guy that stood out tonight front and center is Steve Asian. He's a young man that you need all types. We talk about a team, and he's the type of guy that wants to be out in front. If he's not pulling the wagon, he's making sure everybody else is pulling it beside him. But he's somebody that if he keeps playing the way he is, he's certainly got a chance to play in the league.
Goaltending situation in Calgary next year, of course, Kenny Reagan not getting any younger, not to say he didn't have a good year. Freddie Brathwaite, of course, I'm sure will be back. What about Jean-Sébastien Giguère? Has he got a chance to stick with the big club next year?
Well, he got an opportunity to play this year, and he had a chance to stick with it last year, and unfortunately, like every young goalie, he's got to learn, and like he's got to learn in this past period. You can't let one goal in that gets your team in trouble, and he lets a bad goal in that gets his team in trouble, but he's certainly got the ability to play in the National Hockey League. But young guys got to experience that, and that's my point. And he got that opportunity too this year, and he's capable of playing very well. When he played, he played well in some situations, as Tyler Moss did, but there are situations where a goal can't go in at a crucial time to put your team behind the 8 ball, and that's what they got to learn. And unfortunately, goaltending is the toughest position to learn and play in the National League. And it showed going down the stretch. You asked about Kenny Reagan and Freddie Brathwaite. If we had had those 2 guys in the net for the whole year, their records over the course of the year, we wouldn't have been fighting for 8th place. We'd have been fighting for 4th or 5th, and that's what their records were. So Digger's got a ways to go, but he's certainly got the ability to get there and the work ethic to get there.
We're going to see Brian Sutter behind the Calgary Flames bench next year?
That's up to the owners there. I couldn't really tell you that. I know we've done a good job there with the people we got, and we've come a long ways in the last 2 years. And actually, I call this year a building year. Last year wasn't. We had to weed out some people, and so we'll see. We worked hard for what we got, and I'm proud of our young team.
One final question. I know you're rooting for your brother down in San Jose to make a comeback against Colorado. Who do you look in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Boy, the good teams are from out west, aren't they? And there's no question Dallas and Detroit, and they're going to be tough to beat. And those teams are the the teams that you got to watch out for.
Brian,
Okay, sir. Thanks for having me.
Take
My
care of
pleasure.
yourself.
And welcome back into the second half time out here on TVNB. Joined in the studio by Barry Johnson. Nice to have you, man.
Thank you.
All set for summer, shorts on, ready to go.
Or
A little cool out there today.
it is a little cool, yeah. The fog's lifting up.
I can't beat it. Anyway, summertime, good to have it. Let's talk a little bit about, we've been covering it right from game one, traveled up the highway to Freddie, that steam bath that they call the Aiken Center. We were there for game one and game two, and of course, last night at Harbor Station for game three. I guess we start with what I said in the first half. This was going to be a goaltender series. We said that right from game one when we did the first intermission, and it's turned out to be a goaltender series, and unfortunately, it's in Fredericton's favor.
There's only one goaltender putting a clinic on for this one, and that's Giguère. That's Theodore. Giguère needs the goaltending clinic from the other end of the ice, but right now Giguère has a chance to take the spotlight and put on a goaltending clinic and show that he is the man that Calgary wants in the future, possibly for next season, because Theodore went down with a groin injury and definitely not going to be playing in the game on Wednesday night because those things take a long time to heal. And may miss, if Fredericton advances to the Eastern Conference Final, may miss 1 or 2 games in that final too, because those things you want to make sure your goaltender's good and healed on those. And I've talked to, I believe it was Andrew Holland during the third period about those things on air, and I'm saying those things don't heal. I mean, Andre Trefilov comes to mind real quick. His has never really fully healed.
That's right.
And also with backs of goaltenders, those guys are, when they go from one post to the other, those groins are stretching in positions that you and I just cringe. So, and also with backs where they're flopping around and going around, like Dominic Hasek must be, made of elastic the way he flops around there. He has to be, because, it's just the way they flop around. It's just believable that they're not hurt more than they are. But Giguère has the chance right now to step up his game. He has no choice. They're not behind the 8 ball anymore. They're slipping into the pocket now. Fredericton's not in the driver's seat. They're driving back up the highway. Like they're already on the road. So, it's a matter right now of Giguère stepping up his game.
Well, there's no question about it. And I mean, you and I talked about it heading into game three, long before they arrived at Harbor Station Sunday night, that maybe to shake things up a little bit, and that's what Vive was looking to do, and Perry was looking to do. Bench Martin St. Louis for the third period in the second game. David Cooper, the same fate. And, I just can't understand. I mean, Fredericton's done their homework on Giguère, and they're beating them upstairs hard. I think Fredericton's something like 9 for 16 on the power play. I mean, that's just simply outstanding. And they're beating Giguère. They've got his number. His confidence factor is way down. And you really don't have anything to lose here. I mean, I'm sure that they'd like to extend it to a game 5, game 6, and a game 7. But reality is you're pushed against the wall right now. Change things up. Throw something different at Fredericton. Give them something different to look at. They have seen Karpenko, but not right from the opening whistle. Throw Karpenko in. He's played well, and I don't understand why they wouldn't.
Well, let's face it, his last win was against Fredericton back in January, I believe the 16th. So there's no reason why they shouldn't start him the next game. What does he have to lose? I mean, he's way behind the 8 ball now. He's beyond the 8 ball. Giguère definitely is not his meal ticket right now. He has to put Karpenko in, I think, right now. He tried to shake things up by putting Matt Odette in the lineup. Not bad. I mean, Matt Odette was a little leery when the scrums happened, a little tussle here and there. He didn't want to drop that glove off because he was afraid. So, but obviously St. John Quite Press did not back down from any of the BS, is the only way I can say it right now, without having beep, beep, beep in there somewhere. But none of them backed down from anything there. I mean, they did get suckered. I mean, Royer got suckered by Blue Wans in the third period there. That was just uncalled for totally. I mean, that was just really dirty tactics. I mean, Royer gave Delisle a few shoves here and there. Delisle says, "Oh no, just a second, bring this guy over. You want to fight? Let's take this guy on."
Exactly.
I mean, that's stuff that happens in junior hockey. I mean, I went over to Johnny Caldwell, who owned the junior B team. I said, "Doesn't this remind you of junior hockey?" And he said, "If I didn't know any better," he said, "I thought it was." It looked that way, and it's unfortunate because, like we had said, hockey is trying to clean up all that crap, and here they are going on like that. Those two coaches know better than that. I mean. Absolutely. From the East Coast League, a lot of that stuff happens down there. He knows that crap goes on, and they know they don't want it. Terrian's not too far out of junior. He knows that stuff went on in there. He knows nobody likes that. That was just pure unentertainment is the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, no question. And I heard Wayne Gamble's comments when we were down in the Jowls there of Harbor Station, and Wayne said there'll definitely be some tapes off to Dave Andrews.
He wants to be careful in that because Fredericton could be penalized as much as St. John can be for a lot of the tactics.
There's no question about it. But I mean, when you've got to bring the city cops down, and I mean, a couple of fans, and I don't know who they were, but they got quite vocal with Delisle, and they were throwing some comments at him and back and forth and blah blah blah. And I mean, the guy obviously had a couple of the brown puppies, was feeling pretty good, was a little upset with the lopsided score. Obviously, big Flames fan. He started giving it to them. The Fredericton bench should have known better. Michel Therrien should have taken the reins right there, told the boys to turn around, sit down, shut up. Don't pay attention to it. This guy's just had way too much to drink tonight. He's upset with the score. Look at the scoreboard. Turn around. We're going home. We'll be back for Game 4 on Wednesday night. that just shows that Terry Ann didn't really have a lot of control on his bench. Should have just grabbed the boys by the reins, said, this is foolishness. We're leading this game 7-1 at that point. Don't worry about it. City police had to come down, stand in front of the bench, and it just...
I believe there were some either charges, there were some complaints made anyway, because we saw down underneath there the security guards at Harbour Station were filing some complaints. Now, one of the female security guards there did have sort of a mark on her face. Now, whether that was from that altercation that went on or not, I don't know. We still don't know. We shouldn't maybe even comment on this, but it looked that way, that she was filing complaint.
Well, from what I saw, I was standing right there, and I walked down just to see if everybody was all right, because a couple of the Canadians players that weren't dressed were coming down from the press box. They saw what was going on. Big scrum of people joins together. I think somebody might have got a loose elbow or something, trying to pull somebody back or whatever, and those things happen in the scrum. But like we said, we're going to have to wait and see what comes of all this. But
the Canadians should have known better. I mean, 7-2 is a score, or 7-1 at that time, I believe.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just didn't make any sense. It just showed some of their maturity. They didn't show professionalism as they're supposed to be as players. And if a tape does go to the league, I mean, Wayne Gebel better not be saying, we're going to get some of their players suspended.
Yeah.
He better be careful what he says and does there, because they can get some of their own players suspended.
Wayne just made the comment that, he just very off the cuff said, more than likely some tapes are going to end up on Dave Andrews' desk, and more than likely they will from both parties. It won't just be from Fredericton or St. John. I'm sure that both of them will be purulating something down to Springfield over the next couple of days. But we move on to Game 4. Your outcome on this whole thing, what do you see happening?
Well, I predicted Fredericton in 6. I think we're going to have to change that. We're going to have to get some brooms out here. I think it's going to be a clean sweep, unfortunately.
So the Flames pack up the tent, call it a year?
I think so. I think they pretty well folded in the tent there. I mean, Game 3 just kind of looked that way. They went through the motions. They weren't doing anything. Landry was about the only one out there doing any crashing and banging. Travis Brigley...
He's been Charlie Hustle for all 3 games.
Travis Brigley had eggs in his pants pockets there somewhere. I don't know where he had them, but he had them in there somewhere. Or he thought the puck was an egg and didn't want to drill it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But... I don't know. Sharon played, I think, a hell of a game for a guy who's lost, close to 30-some pounds or thereabouts anyway, 20 to 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And, he was throwing the body around. Anytime a scrum would happen and he was on the ice, he was right in the middle of it. I mean, he didn't give up.
No.
But noticed mostly used on the power play to stand in front of the net. I mean, he was just used sparingly, even though that's not really a role he should have been probably playing, but he was only used sparingly, not as a defenseman a whole lot. But when they started losing defensemen, all that crap at the end, well, then, they started to lose them. But
absolutely.
I think we're running out of time here, but we should talk about Acadie Bathurst. I mean, hats off to those guys.
Got to talk about the Teton, no question. They had a simply outstanding game. The KC Irving Regional Center was full to capacity, and, they love it, and the party's probably still going on somewhere in Bathurst at this hour. But, I mean, a great job, and, I mean, everybody made the comment, or a few people that I've heard said they went out and bought their title. Hey, I mean, that's sports in the 90s. I mean, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, take a look at the Detroit Red Wings, for example. When the trading deadline rolled around, they loaded up and, got ready for the playoff drive. And, I mean, Acadie Bathurst did the same thing.
Well, it's a little different scenario with junior because, I mean, you're not paying your players, so you're not really buying a whole lot. You do a lot of trading there. The odd time there's a dollar figure there. With Roberto Luongo, there might have been a bit of a dollar figure exchange there somewhere along the line.
You can bet that.
But, I mean, he was a marquee goaltender. He's got a bright future in the NHL for sure, but I think he's going to have to be like Shakir. Play a couple of years in the AHL first before you get used to the pro hockey. It's a hell of a lot faster than it is in junior hockey. But I think they may have bought some players, sure. But, first year in Bathurst, they want to really sell that team. They want to pump it up. They want to get, the fans out there. They're going to sell out for next year. I mean, at least maybe the first 10, 15 games.
No question. And I read a comment in the newspaper that was interesting that when you walk around the town of Bathurst now, nobody's talking about unemployment or I can't find a job anymore. Hockey, 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 hockey.
And that's unusual for up there because I was originally born in Bathurst and then moved various places because of my dad's jobs and whatnot. But I was born up there, and that was a lot of the talk up there. Of course, the mines was booming at that time, but now with hockey, they had the Northmen up there one time for the senior league, and that was big.
That's right, too.
Rock'em sock'em hockey up there, I'm telling you. I mean, Don Cherry would have loved that stuff, but with Acadie Bathurst now in there in that new facility, which is just superb, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better other than the Campbellton Civic Center up there, but I think it's a great situation for the Tetons. I mean, granted, they worried a little bit about education. All they had was a high school there and a community college. They didn't have like a university like UDM does in Moncton or anything like that. So I think it's great for Bathurst. Like you say, they're not talking about unemployment too much right now. And, of course, elections are coming around. They're not talking too much about that right now.
Exactly.
But there's going to be a pile of people making that trip to Ottawa because it's only about a 12, 13-hour drive to Ottawa. So,
Exactly.
I mean, those guys will be chartering a bus and heading up there with all their blonde hair.
Packing up the minivans and got the Teton jerseys on and ready to go.
But don't knock out the Ottawa 67s out of that trip.
Absolutely not, and that's exactly who the Teton have to play in their first game Saturday as the Memorial Cup gets underway. Can this team generate and take some of that momentum with them, or are they just...
I think they can. It's a short period of time. I mean, granted, it is, May 15th, I think it starts, something like that. So I think they can take that momentum with them. They got to keep Roger LaJoy or whatever his last name is, something like
Rather
that.
you try to pronounce it than me, because I'd probably butcher it.
I think he can keep those guys going and motivated. I mean, the motivation that they're going to the Memorial Cup is enough for them right there. And the scouts that are going to be there, there's going to be more eyes watching those guys. I mean, if you ever felt the feeling there's somebody watching you, well, that's going to be the spot for sure.
No question.
But also, you can't. The Western League's going to be tough because they play a grinding style of hockey. Quebec and Ontario, they're going to be the finesse players.
Sure.
But you're going to see a goaltending clinic out of the Quebec team.
No question about that. Briefly, let's talk about the Leafs and Penguins. They're tied at 1. We look at Buffalo and Boston. They're tied at 1. But how about Detroit over Colorado? Is this a bit of a shock? They lead 2 games to none.
I don't know. I think Sir Patrick is wearing down very slowly. I think his time in pro hockey is slowly winding down. I think he needs to really look at his game right now and wondering if he's really playing to his potential the way he did, say, 5 years ago.
Sure.
But Detroit, like you say, buying a team, boy, when you got Chris Chelios on the blue line there's a lot of veteran or a lot of years of a veteran right there. And, you know, you get Stevie Yzerman to score 2 goals against Detroit in their last game for the 4-0 win. Billy Ranford, I didn't think was the goaltender for them. I thought Osgood would have been the better goaltender, but Billy Ranford seems to be really doing the job there.
Well, you can't forget about the job that Ranford did in all those Canada Cups, and of course the job he did with Edmonton the year that, you know, Gretzky was traded and all the hoo-ha was blowing around that Edmonton was going to go right into the tank. But, I mean, he's had some good years. He's a good quality goaltender, and you got to remember where he's playing to in Tampa Bay. So, I mean, the change of environment certainly helped him out. That's just about going to do it for us. Thank you very much for tuning in. Next week it will be you and Bruce McDonald. You guys will be discussing NASCAR. That's totally out of my hands. I'm going to jump out of the driver's seat on that one and let the boys have some fun with that. But don't forget, our final show of the year is coming up the last Monday of this month. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. We got some old blooper reels we're going to roll back for you. So we hope you join us next Monday. And, of course, we hope you join us for the final show on the final Monday in
24th.
May, 24th.
Today's the 10th, 2 weeks from today, 24th.
Perfect. You're
better
at math than I am. High school diploma paying off. Good to see it. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in on this Monday. We hope all the moms had a great Mother's Day yesterday. And we'll talk to you again, or Bruce and Barry will talk to you again next Monday at 6. And I'll see you on the 24th. Take care.